This weekend, the Blancpain GT Sports Club comes to the south of France in the glorious sunshine here at Ricard, and a record entry of 22 cars lining up ready to go racing. The opening weekend back in April at Monza. The teams have had quite a long break. The championship organisers have done a huge amount of hard work, and we've got a great entry for this weekend. Drivers from Poland, from Italy, from Denmark, from Canada, Russia, Germany, from Sri Lanka, from Britain and Belgium, Italy, Japan, from Greece, from France, from Ireland, from the Netherlands, from America, from Slovakia. The list goes on and on and on. The cars making their way up towards the grid, and the first of two 45-minute races set to get underway. We used to have, of course, a shorter and a longer race, now equal distance, so more track time given to the drivers. They have a bronze test if they want to go with the Blancpain GT Endurance Cup cars on day one of the weekend, then free practice, then two short sharp qualifying sessions, and now two 45-minute races. So if you are an AM and you want mileage and you've got a car, you don't even have to share it because it's single driver races. This is the place to be. Pole position to the man that dominated at Monza, Jens Müller. He's an experienced driver, but there's some of the opposition coming into place. 51 is Mario Cordoni with the red Ferrari that's run by the AF Corsa team that had a busy day yesterday running cars in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup 6R race into the darkness, finishing second with his SMP racing car. But Mario Cordoni, having done his qualifying session, I suspect headed for the beach yesterday, and the man that dominated at Monza last year had a tougher time this season. He'll be one to watch. Murad Soltanov's Ferrari lining up on the grid, and to the front goes Luigi Lucchini in the BMS Scuderia Italia car. Now that is the car to beat. It is the Honda, and it dominated at Monza. This car that's driven by Jens Müller, the Honda NSX GT3 Evo. So you're talking about the very latest technology, and Jens Müller tries to thread his way through to the grid. Renault Racing is the team that operates the car. His middle name is Renault, but Jens Müller you might remember from driving Listers at Le Mans in the early prototype days of Listers. He also has had a spell in World Touring Cars, amongst other things, Danish touring car racing. And after a few years away, concentrating on his business, he's back and enjoying these races, and especially enjoying them because he's the unbeaten driver so far this year, double winner at Monza, championship leader. There's the overall championship, there is the Titanium Cup for drivers aged between 50 and 59, and there is the Iron Cup for the over 60s. The Titanium Cup being led by Coach McKenzie, the pseudonym to Coach McKenzie, and Steve Earle, double winner at Monza, is the best of the Ironmen, the over 60s. So the safety car leaves the grid, and the leading car will now put itself into position, ready to scoop up the field when we get the rolling lap underway. And great to see the entry picking up like this, because it's always been a good concept, the GT Sports Club. It also, initially, didn't just cater for AMs, it catered for the older machinery. Well, inevitably, perhaps, as people want to win, they go and buy the latest cars, and those with the older spec machinery, like the early Mercedes SLS AMG GT3s or the BMW Z4s, have inevitably been left by the wayside. Maybe there's a case now to say that we need an older machinery class. We've got the older drivers catered for, maybe the older cars could be tempted back as well. Luigi Lucchini then, good to go. The BMS Scuderia Italia Ferrari lining up on the inside of the front row of the grid. Stefan Rattel you see striding down it, having a look at not only the grid itself, making sure all his customers are happy before they go racing. And it was this kind of series for Venturis that Stefan's organisation really began through running, and he had some fairly wild cannonball run style events for his mates, and then they said, well, why don't we go racing now? And so a deal was done with Venturi, the Venturi Challenge was created, and Stefan has always therefore catered for the gentleman racer, for the AM racer. And here, by putting them in an environment of drivers of comparable ability, so they're not constantly looking in their mirrors with professional drivers bearing down on them, it has certainly been a hit. And Jens Müller lining up on pole position, the man to beat. There you see Pavel Strukov, who's new to the championship this year, was quick but a little bit wild at Monza, had a few dramas in the second race that cost him. But he was competitive. Murad Sultanov got a third and a second that weekend. Lee Mole, who is the driver in the Titanium Cup with a win at Monza, he will line up further back. He was also third in the second race. Pete Mitchell, the Swiss driver, good to go. races under a Swiss license, and the field of apps now to be cleared, and the rolling lap to get underway. Before we do that, though, let's just go and have a look at who is there, because we've talked about the Honda on pole position. Jens Müller it is that is at the front of the grid, and lining up alongside him in the BMS Scuderia Italia Ferrari, Luigi Lucchini. Murad Sultanov lines up on the second row of the grid. He's the man that's second in the championship behind Jens Müller. And then in 777 is Pavel Strukov with his Ferrari 488. On the third row, 17 is Coach McKenzie, the man that leads the Titanium Cup in the championship with 1 win. He's 4th overall. 84 is the Canadian under the Swiss license, Pete Mitchell. Then you've got newcomer Denis Remenieko in his Capital Racing Mercedes, and the Japanese driver Ken Abe lining up alongside. Robert Stinger for HB Racing coming from the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Mario Cordoni with work to do, the man that's third in the title race, lining up alongside him. Then there is 333, Vadim Kogai, back racing with us this year, and Kriton Lendudis becomes the first driver from Greece to Blancpain GT Sports Club. Louis-Philippe Cernan's AF Corsa Ferrari next, with the redoubtable Steve Earle, the much-travelled American, alongside him. Then Frederic Fangio lines up against the Sri Lankan, much-travelled Delantha Malagamua. Behind them, there is Gerard van der Horst, multiple Lamborghini Cup champion, and Lee Mole, the British GT peddler, is alongside him. Then you've got Rick Lovett, and it is Hardy Woodcock, new to the championship, the Irishman, next on the grid, which is completed by Bernd Kleinbach with his Attempto Racing Lamborghini. So that is how we line up. 21 cars in the end, 22 on the entry. The one that's missing, therefore, much was expected, was Michael Broniszewski, who has withdrawn. So he did the practice sessions, but has decided not to race after all. And Broniszewski did this a couple of years ago. He was very, very rapid, and then decided he wouldn't actually do the races. So you could argue, given his pace and experience, that that leaves the way clear for some of the others. But anyway, Michael Broniszewski has withdrawn, certainly from race 1, and whether he does race 2 or not is a moot point, seeing that we've already had the qualifying session for that, but the grid not yet issued. So might be that he elects to do 1, not 2, unless the car has a mechanical problem, and of that we have not had confirmation. So the grid formed, and in a moment or two the cars will be released on this parade lap with Jens Müller, the man on pole position. So can the Honda be beaten? Well, it was a quick car in the balance of performance tests here at the start of the year, when the new Team Rocket RJN squad of Bob Neville ran the car. It was quick last night as well in the 6R race here, but it's a different squad running this car in this trim, so let's see exactly how it fares as we get this race underway. Jens Müller has got more opposition here than he had certainly at Monza. Now, unlike the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup race of last night, they will use a chicane on the Mistral Straight, the chicane Nord put in, so that makes turns 8 and 9, coming down towards turn 3 at the moment. In fact, the field down towards the Virage d'Hôtel. 45 minutes of racing, got a set number of laps, but a timed race, as is the one for GT cars, and the safety car, the leading car, then brings the field around. Jens Müller on pole position with a great start to his season, but what can Mario Cordoni do from the 5th row? What can Luigi Lucchini do? What also can the likes of Vadim Kogai do? Because Kogai looked a lot more competitive at Monza, and also Lee Mole, a long way back on the grid, but he should be making some progress, I would have thought. 43 there, sorry, 13 there, I should say. Denis Remenieko, new to the championship, and Remenieko, the Russian driver. Goes onto the Mistral Straight. Remenieko, as I say, with the Mercedes, it's one of the newer AMG GT3, so of course another example of drivers having the latest machinery. So weaving around to get the warmth into the Pirelli tyres, on which everybody runs in this series, of course. And Jens Müller with the Honda, which makes a great noise. Set for the inside line down towards turn 1. Luigi Lucchini, experienced driver, both in GT cars and sports prototypes many years ago. He's going to be there on the front of the grid. Murad Sultanov on the 2nd row, number 23 for Kessel Racing. So you've got many of the established GT teams with their customers in this series, including the HP Racing International team with the Coach McKenzie Lamborghini you just saw going through the shot, the team of Harry Protchik, himself a quick racer. So the cars work their way now up to Senior. You see them coming out of the chicane, back onto the Mistral straight. It's a fairly modest pace, in fact, for this rolling start lap, but the race organisers making sure that the AMs aren't arriving at the start of the Senior corner at too high a speed with cold tyres on this formation lap. But when they blast away, the pinch point is going to be turn 1, where we inevitably will have people having to nip up the curb to avoid contact because it's a fairly crowded house. There, 333 Vadim Kogai goes through. So everybody getting themselves in the 2x2 order down towards Toulon. And there, number 24 is the Lamborghini of Dilantha Malagamua, the Sri Lankan driver and TV presenter. He's the face of the kind of equivalent of Top Gear in Sri Lanka. And Malagamua, who's raced all over the world, in the UK, in 24-hour races at Silverstone. He's raced in the early days of the Bathurst 24 hours. There are only 2 of them, but he did those. And Dilantha Malagamua normally brings his fan club with him. The family and friends come en masse. And it's great to have him racing in Europe and adding yet another nationality to this very, very popular Blancpain GT Sports Club. So the cars now making their way up to the Virage du Pont and then up towards the timing line to get the race underway. So through they will turn with Jens Müller, the man on pole position. With him at the front of the grid, then you see the red Ferrari of Luigi Lucchini. So Honda versus Ferrari, the second row, Ferrari. The third row is Lamborghini and Ferrari. We're about to go racing then, because for the 45 minutes of race 1 here at Paul Ricard for the Blancpain GT Sports Club, the drivers now come out of the Virage du Pont up towards the timing line. It's been a long, long, long lap to get them ready to go racing, but we are set to go now. Lights on the gantry are red, the lights will go green. It is blast off, a good start by Jens Müller then from pole position as they go down towards turn 1. The Honda gets his nose in front. To the outside line goes Luigi Lucchini, looking for the inside line is Murad Sultanov. And they dive down towards the first corner, still side by side. Lucchini tries to force the issue round the outside into turn 1. He's got the inside for turn 2, but did he make the move? Yes, he did! Ferrari comes out ahead, so Lucchini leads the way. Down they run towards turn 3 for the first time. It is Luigi Lucchini then who's made the best start, staying on the outside line at turn 1. That translates to the inside at turn 2, down through 3, 4, and then 5 for the first time, down towards Virage du Camp. We've got another of the Ferraris running a little bit wide there. Look, you see, to the inside line, tries to go Pete Mitchell, fights back, forcing others out wide as they come out of the Virage du Camp and up towards Saint-Baume for the first time, then to the Mistral straight. Frédéric Fangio losing out on the opening lap. Gerard van der Horst has lost a bit of ground as well. But the race leader, Luigi Lucchini, then, I think he's the first man all season to be ahead of Jens Müller. But can he stay there? Side by side for third place, Murad Sultanov versus Pavel Strukov. And Strukov tries the outside line, and Müller makes a mistake going into the chicane. He was level with the leader, but he outbraked himself, scrabbles back onto the road, but time lost as they come now onto the Mistral straight. Pete Mitchell goes through. Great Ferrari enthusiast as up towards Senior comes Luigi Lucchini, and he's getting away, isn't he? That mistake made by Jens Müller means that not only does he have to regroup and push on, but it also means that he's got the opposition crawling all over him now. So pushing on, 777, this is Pavel Strukov, another of the Russian drivers coming into GT racing in recent years. It won't be long, I suspect, before you see Strukov moving into Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup races, because he's learning fast. Comes now up through the left-hander of Bendor on towards the Courbe du Galabin, and then up towards Virage du Lac, heading towards the end of lap number 1. But right now, Luigi Lucchini is trying to build the advantage over the rest of them. Pavel Strukov is going through in third, now second as he goes up the curb and gets past Jens Müller, who gave him racing room, but I think was a bit surprised to be dive bombed there. So the Honda losing 2 places on the opening lap as the leaders then now come up towards the timing line. Through goes number 7 Luigi Lucchini, and his advantage already is 1.4 seconds as they go through. Down towards turn 1, so 1.4 seconds between Lucchini and Strukov. Jens Müller is third, Murad Sultanov is fourth, Ken Abe fifth, Coach McKenzie sixth. Mario Cordoni is 7th, up to 8th, Vadim Koge. 9th is Remeniako, and 10th is Pete Mitchell. What progress of Lee Mould? He's up in the 13th place, and there the battle between Strukov and Müller continues. Pavel Strukov hanging onto the place. Jens Müller tucked up behind him as they come, perhaps a little bit crossed up in the case there of Strukov, down towards the Virage du Camp, up towards the end of the first sector, and now they run through Saint-Baume onto the Mistral straight. But while these two are squabbling over second place, so the race leader is getting away up front. So it is Jens Müller who has third position, but he's in the slipstream. Can he make a move on the inside line up towards the chicane? Yes, he can. Goes for it, brakes as late as he dares, goes through. Strukov gave him racing room, and Jens Müller takes full advantage of that. Quite often people miss their braking points there and either go straight on or harpoon the car turning in. But that was all successful, and Müller not only goes second, but starts to gap Strukov, look, as he comes now out of the chicane. So he's got his second place back. Now he goes after the race leader. It's Ferrari ahead of Honda, ahead of Ferrari. 333 is Vadim Kogai, and he's making progress here. Vadim Kogai, who, having returned to racing, has calmed down a lot, and he's looking very competitive this year as he gets himself onto the back of Coach McKenzie. These two battling for honours in the Titanium Cup. And Coach McKenzie in the green Lamborghini with its pseudo safari livery, just keeping Vadim Kogai at bay. The two of them then swing their way up now towards the completion of lap number 2. But up front, Luigi Lucchini it is that leads the way, looking good. McKenzie under attack there, because right with him is 333. Vadim Kogai goes to the inside line into Virage du Pont, and there's contact, and around goes McKenzie. Others are delayed in avoidance there, like Mario Cordoni, and Coach McKenzie ends up going backwards off the road, and more contact means that Kogai's lost his rear wing now. So incident after incident between the two green machines, that shuffles the order even more. So Müller is second, Strukov third, Murat Sultanov is now fourth, and Vadim Kogai's car is going to have to be parked, because without the rear wing the aero will be completely shot. Fifth is Ken Abe, sixth Pete Mitchell, 7th is Remeniako, 8th is Cordoni, 9th is Zwinger, 10th is now Lee Mould. Number 13 there is Dennis Remeniako as he goes down towards turn 4. So Coach McKenzie has got going again, but rather slowly. I think he's got a puncture actually in number 17, Coach McKenzie, after the contact. I'm so pleased I talked about Vadim Kogai's improvement as a driver, because this is what happened. Having said it, he went up the inside of McKenzie. There's the contact, round goes the Lamborghini, and then Coach McKenzie lets the car get backwards off the road, but as he does so, then the rear wings interlock, and that rips the rear wing off Kogai's Ferrari. So out of the race certainly will be 333 Kogai, although he's doing his best to limp to the pit lane, but Coach McKenzie with a flat tyre, I'm not convinced we'll get much further. Lucchini then, race leader. Battle is on here between Remeniako and the back of the group. In the other Mercedes is Lee Mould. Robert Zwinger's Lamborghini sandwiched betwixt the two, as the leader, Luigi Lucchini, has done the fastest lap of the race, a 2 minutes 7.6. The best lap in qualifying was a 2 minutes 5.2. Now, Müller has done an absolute best in the first sector. So he's setting off in pursuit of the race leader. Both of Kogai and McKenzie stop trackside, as there up the inside goes Zwinger to try to get ahead of Remeniako. Does he go by? Yes, he does. So Robert Zwinger goes through, and now in this battle of the Mercedes, the lights flashing on Lee Mould's car, heralding his arrival up the order. So Lee Mould coming up from the 9th row of the grid. And there, Vadim Kogai and Coach McKenzie out of the race. And a discussion may well follow between those two. Gentlemen sports club racing it may be, but gentlemen racers can get pretty riled when eliminated from a race. Leaders go through, yellow flag zone to move those cars out of harm's way. They park pretty much near an access point, so it shouldn't take long, I wouldn't have thought, just to whip them out of the way. Hopefully we won't need to go safety car as the leaders go by. Now 1.3 seconds is covering Lucchini and Müller, and Jens Müller has done the fastest lap of the race now. 3 are in the book as they're coming down towards a green flag zone. On the inside line, the Ferrari thinks about making a move, but then realising that actually the green flags weren't being shown, forced to back out of it. That was the car of Harry Woodcock, forgive me. So he had a long look, but realised that actually no, still in a yellow flag zone, can't go through. So he stays on the tail. So Lucchini to Müller, 1.3 seconds, and the gap's coming down, so Lucchini might have to start making the car a bit wider soon. Still 37 minutes of the race to go as Lee Mole in the white Mercedes, still with the lights flashing, gets himself onto the back of Dennis Romagnaco here, has a look to the inside line up towards the chicane. Lee Mole commits to it. Is he going to be able to go through? He's got the inside line for the first element, that's the outside line for the next. So Lee Mole, experienced driver, came from club level Ginetta Racing through British GT into the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and he's on the back now of Dennis Romagnaco. Is this the move to the inside? No, it's not. What about the outside, wide in and tight out of the corner? Thinks about it. Dennis Romagnaco, number 13, just hangs on to the place then in the Capital Racing Team Mercedes, but Lee Mole crawling all over the back of him, goes to the inside line. Still can't find a way by the ERC sport car of Lee Mole, for a time, co-owner of the very successful British touring car team 888. And right up behind him now is Louis-Philippe Cernan, who in turn is bringing Steve Earle and also Pete Mitchell for company. So there's a whole gaggle of cars now queued up behind Lee Mole, who's dropped back a length or two from Dennis Romagnaco. Race leaders have just gone by. The gap's down again to 9/10 of a second there. Louis-Philippe Cernan keeping Pete Mitchell at bay. First time we've seen Pete in Blancpain GT Sports Club, and he's going nicely here, learning about the circuit all the time as he comes out of the Virage du Pont up towards the timing line now. So the leaders go through, and Luigi Lucchini hanging on to the race lead, clipping the curb though, going just a little bit wide coming into turn 4. So the car oh so slightly unsettled, but he regroups and gets away with that. Next gaggle of cars goes through with Pavel Strukov just keeping Murad Sultanov at bay. So these two that were on the second row of the grid, and remember that Strukov was second earlier on in the race, so he's dropped back by quite a big chunk of time really relative to the leading cars that you now can see coming down the Mistral straight. The gap's coming down between the leaders. A big gap was opened up between second and third, and now is this the move coming from Murad Sultanov? He thinks about the inside line, but he's not really near enough to make that stick, so he has to slot back in behind as they come now into the chicane once more. In the first sector of the lap though, Jens Müller, absolute best, who is getting closer to Luigi Lucchini once more. There they are, in towards Senior. We've had the first 10 minutes of the race. Look in the background, Lee Mole up on the inside line. Is he going to go through? Yes, he is. Lee Mole gains a place then in the back of the Mercedes, so that puts Lee Mole 8th at the expense of Dennis Romagnaco. Back onto the Mistral straight, and we also had a change behind, have we not? Because Louis-Philippe Cernan has dropped a long, long way back, number 50. So Pete Mitchell next in the queue, and Louis-Philippe Cernan, who was 10th, looks like he's down in 13th or 14th places. So he's dropped a big chunk of time, as now Dennis Romagnaco comes under attack from Pete Mitchell. There are the race leaders, and still Luigi Lucchini it is that's got the advantage, but it's a pretty narrow one now. Jens Müller, you could argue, has been a slow burn in this race. It's taken him a while to really get up to speed, get the confidence perhaps in the tyres and the car. But now he's going for it, no question. Up over the timing line they will come. The gap last time was 9/10 of a second. The gap this time is 6/10 of a second. Jens Müller closing. And Luigi Lucchini in the aero-friendly Ferrari still holds sway. Strukov is 3rd, Sultanov is 4th, 5th is Abe, 6th is Cordoni. So Mario Cordoni still the surprise this weekend, that he's just not had better pace. We know that Cordoni normally is pretty quick. He's been a multiple race winner across the history of Blancpain GT Sports Club, but it's just not happening for him at the moment, as the leaders then now come once more out of turn 4. There you've got treble 7, Pavel Strukov, with Murad Sultanov still looking for a way back past him. Sultanov out-qualified Strukov, but not being able to stay ahead of him. Ken Abe running 5th. And there is Lee Mole coming down through turn 3, the Virage d'Hotel. Now, on the Mistral straight, Lucchini trying to escape. In the first sector, though, Müller again is closer. And the track limit warning that we've just had is for Crichton Lendudis now in 14th place, about track limits at turn 7. That's going on to the Mistral straight. Ferrari fight between the Russian drivers, Pavel Strukov and Murad Sultanov, together as they come onto the Mistral straight now. And there you've got the 2 race leaders up towards Senior once again. So where does Müller start to think about the move as Lee Mole loses out, does he? Pete Mitchell tries to get up and past him and does so. Pete Mitchell goes through to 8th place then, so here's an example of somebody learning about a new venue but getting quicker and quicker with more and more confidence. 51 through, that is Mario Cordoni. Now Cordoni is running 6th. It's Ken Abe just up the road ahead of him, the Japanese driver. Another experienced driver is Ken Abe. He's come from the likes of Blancpain GT Series Asia. As for the race lead, nose to tail now. Luigi Lucchini, with this real feeling of impending doom, has got the Honda tucked up behind him and knowing just how quick that car is. 3/10 quicker in qualifying, give or take, was Jens Müller. So now he's almost on the tail, and there's still 32 minutes of the race to go. Over the line, the gap's 0.4 of a second now between these two, down towards turn 1. In 3rd place, it is still Strukov. In 4th is Sultanov. Gap back, the next pair, Abe versus Cordoni. Mario Cordoni still not evincing the same pace that he would have hoped for. Svinga is 7th, then it's going to be Mitchell, Mole and Romenyako to round out the top 10. The Ferrari fight for 3rd. Still Pavel Strukov hanging on to that place ahead of Murad Sultanov as they drop down towards the Virage du Tel. Out of the Virage du Camp now, on towards Saint-Baume, and the next little battle rages on. Treble 7. Pavel Strukov hangs onto the place there. Right with him is Murad Sultanov, who looks now like he's got better pace. Can he make a move out of the draft up towards the chicane? The leaders go through shot with still Luigi Lucchini up front. Now he's going to have to make that car exceptionally wide in order to hang on to this, no question about it. Sultanov in 4th place, has a look to the inside, thinks about it, can't do it, slots back in behind. A little bit deep maybe through the second part of the chicane there, Pavel Strukov, so is that going to affect pace coming onto the Mistral? Yes, it might well do. The leaders come into view and go through the right-hander. Sultanov turns through and now runs on towards the right-hander of Toulon, thinks about the inside line, but once again he's covered off there by 777 Pavel Strukov. Up the inside line looks Sultanov, still can't do it. Pete Mitchell, incidentally, has done an absolute best in the middle sector, possibly thanks to a toe, but off the road has got Jens Müller. Jens Müller makes a mistake then, so the man that was in 2nd place trying to catch the race leader has got it wrong. Coming out of the Coupe de Galabin, he's off the circuit, and that now means that Luigi Lucchini gets a free ride in the lead of the race. 2nd will be Strukov, 3rd Sultanov, and Jens Müller down in 4th position as he comes up towards the timing line. Not only 4th, but a rather distant 4th, so Lucchini breathes a massive sigh of relief. We need to try and work out how the Honda got to where it was, but the net result is that after that spin, he is in 4th, 9.5 seconds adrift. So, car 11 spun, looks as though it was all self-induced, and Jens Müller makes a mistake, goes off the road. He's rejoined, but now can he make up 9.5 seconds in the remaining, what have we got, 29.5 minutes of the race? Well, it's possible, given his pace. It's going to be a big ask, especially now these tyres are going to be a bit dirty, so you'll need a lap to clean those at the very least. The rest of the field comes pouring over the line, including Delanta Malagamua, running in 15th place, and a good little battle at the back. Fangio, Lovett, Van der Horst, and at the rear of the field, Ben Kleinbach. Big spin there, around goes the Ferrari. Everyone scatters in avoidance, and 55, Frédéric Fangio, losing it coming out of turn 2. So Fangio was 16th over the line, and all of a sudden we've got spins breaking out everywhere. They're 5th and 6th, a bit closer to Müller, aren't they, as well now? So Abe and Cordoni closing all the time. 28.5 minutes still on the clock. There is treble 7, Pavel Strukov going through. Now, can he do anything about the race leader? 2nd place he runs, 6.5 seconds back. Last lap was a little bit slower, but Ferraris at the moment, 1, 2 and 3, and there is the rather red-faced Jens Müller going deep into Toulon. It's very, very much an understeery corner that, and it goes on and on and on, and only there, when you're almost at the end of it, you find a clipping point, and then you can power out the other side. Onto Bendor now goes Jens Müller. So using all of his experience, trying to hustle on to catch up to the gaggle of cars ahead. Over the timing line goes Luigi Lucchini. Another lap in the book. Down towards turn 1 goes the race leader. And the margin that he's got now, 5.6 seconds. On that lap, Strukov was 7/10 quicker, and to the inside line looked Murad Sultanov. Now, is this gap coming down because the race leader is just backing off and driving within himself, or is the gap coming down because that's genuine pace from Pavel Strukov's car? Let's wait and see. As side by side, Murat Sultanov goes through on the outside line, up into second place. Can he get the job done and cut across? Yes, he can. So a change for second finally. Murat Sultanov goes ahead of Pavel Strukov, who fights back. Contact. Around goes Sultanov. Oh dear. Pavel Strukov went for a gap, but he was always going to be very, very late on the brakes there. And that, I'm afraid, is not going to go down a storm with the race officials, I wouldn't have thought. Pavel Strukov up the inside, and whether that move was ever on, you can decide for yourselves. The net result is that Pavel Strukov has been somewhat aggressive in that. Murat Sultanov rejoins, but let's perhaps have another look at it. Sultanov got a good run out of turn 2, up the curb, so he gets his nose in front. I mean, he was off the circuit there. That was brave stuff. 2 wheels on the curb, back onto the road, brakes hard, gets the job done, round the outside, gets the car through turn 4 okay, thinks, whoa, good, I've done it. And then the gap on the inside presents itself to Pavel Strukov here. Look, he's 3 lengths back, dives up the inside, and actually Sultanov tried to give him enough room, but the car of Strukov was never going to slow down in time. A contact enough to pitch Sultanov off the road, so Strukov gets his place back, but I suspect that's going to be looked at by Richard Norbury, the chief steward, along with his fellow countryman Greg Masters, the permanent stewards for the Blancpain GT Sports Club. They'll have a look at that and come up with a decision, I'm sure. It means then that Luigi Lucchini leads the way, and what was 5.6 seconds is now going to be a slightly greater margin. There is 7.77, so Strukov, delayed anyway in that incident, has dropped back behind Jens Müller. So Luigi Lucchini, living a charmed life at the head of the field, goes through. Second place will be Jens Müller, so 9.7 seconds back he is. 25 minutes are on the clock. In third place is Strukov, then delayed after the incident. Abe is in fourth, fifth is Cordoni, sixth is Svinger, seventh is Sultanov, absolutely seething, and he comes down the pit lane, in fact, Murat Sultanov, so he comes down the pit road. Now here in the battle is the Honda going ahead of Pavel Strukov. That was how we had the change at the Chicane Nord last time, so Pavel Strukov delayed, and Jens Müller was able to make the move going into the chicane. Job done. Right, what else do we have? We've got Cordoni crawling over the back of Ken Abe. The incident between Strukov and Sultanov is under investigation. So also is the Mackenzie Kogai incident. So the officials very keen that driving standards are good and clean. They like good racing, yes, but they don't want stock car tactics. So they'll have a look at any contact and make sure that drivers are behaving themselves and not getting a bit carried away. Because don't forget, whether you're an AM or not, these are still expensive and very quick cars. They're through. 51, Mario Cordoni up into 5th place then now. Onto the Mistral straight once more, makes the run down towards the right-hander at Senior. So the leaders go through, and in the sectors, Müller is chipping away once more at Lucchini. 24 minutes on the clock. Has Luigi Lucchini done enough to hang on in there? Mario Cordoni still flattering to deceive. Comes down through Toulon, named after the neighbouring city, and blasts his way now on towards Vendor. So Murat Sultanov still in the pit lane, looking as though he's a retirement. It does make you wonder in this race, had Ricard Broniszewski taken part, what kind of pace he would have had relative to the others, because we know he's good, but equally Lucchini has been looking very rapid as well. It's a shame Broniszewski withdrew. Over the line has gone Lucchini. Jens Müller in second place, 8.5 seconds back, and Müller has just done the fastest lap of the race. So Jens Müller, 2 minutes 6.105. The gap's 8.5 seconds with 23 minutes to go. It's doable, especially if Lucchini is struggling for pace, because his lap times have been going up just a little bit. Lucchini, Müller, Strukov, provisionally. Abe, Cordoni, Svinger is the top 6. Mitchell is 7th. Lee Mole 8th. He's peaked a bit now. 9th is Romenyako, and 10th is Hardy Woodcock, making a good debut in the championship. There is Lee Mole. And he's got Denis Romenyako back up behind him. And a drive-through penalty for Pavel Strukov, causing a collision. A drive-through penalty for number 777 Ferrari. He doesn't, I'm afraid, put Sultanov back in the race. Now Steve Earle is in the pit lane. Steve Earle, who has been the man to beat in the Iron Cup. Not quite sure what's happened to Steve, because we haven't seen him on track to get involved in an incident. But Steve Earle, there he is up on the stilts in in the pit lane. Now, is that he's run over something and punctured a tyre, or is there something rather more fundamental? Let's see. The Kessel Racing team hard at work, but a drive-through penalty is being given to this car, Pavel Strukov, for the earlier incident. So he'll be able to rejoin. It's not that Pavel will be struck off, so to speak. He will get back into the race. Up towards senior he comes then, in third place on the road. So Jens Muller going after the leader, 8.5 seconds the margin. He's done another absolute best in the first sector, but he's only gaining tenths, in fact, there against Lucchini, who's still got good car pace. Ken Abe versus Mario Cordoni next in the Ferrari fight as they go through. But as far as Luigi Lucchini is concerned, he's got a decent buffer up front. There is Ken Abe. Wide ahead of him into the pit lane should come 777. Pavel Strukov, he's off the road there going through Bendor. But the change to pit in will mean that he will blend off the road. Well, he's going to get mobbed anyway, isn't he? Because first of all, up past him goes Abe, then Cordoni. And now Strukov goes for pit in, but that was almost as though he was a bit undecided whether to come in this lap or not. The decision was made for him. Elbows out, Ken Abe comes through. So Lucchini leads Muller, 7.7 seconds. The gap is down as Muller has done another best lap of the race. Here's the fight for third between the Ferraris, Abe versus Cordoni. Mario Cordoni lines up to go to the inside line down towards turn one. He's going to make the move. He's going to make it stick. Is he? Yes! Cordoni goes third. Abe drops to fourth. Up into fifth place should come Robert Svinger in the background. There he is in the Lamborghini. And does Pavel Strukov rejoin in sixth? No, he's going to be lower than that. In fact, he will be behind Louis-Philippe Cernan, so I would put him 11th when he rejoins. It's a long pit lane, so a very time-consuming drive-through. It's about 38 seconds, the drive-through penalty here. So down to turn 5 comes Lee Mole, who got himself early doors up through the field. He's now got a bit stuck about keeping Dennis Romenico at bay. But Luigi Lucchini leads with there back on track, 777 Pavel Strukov. So Strukov down in 16th and falling 17th place, in fact. Goes through, and 888 Robert Svinger in the HB Racing Run car, the Lamborghini Huracan. Robert, who's been racing in Super Trofeo, but now trying his hand at Sports Club, where Louis-Philippe Cernan there in the green and white Ferrari has been a regular, the industrialist going up towards the chicane. That car, another of the fleet, run by AF Corsa, and Louis-Philippe Cernan, who's also done some ELMS, some Michelin Le Mans Cup races, as well as Blancpain GT Sports Club, a great Ferrari enthusiast, and goes now into senior, chasing after Hardy Woodcock as they go through the right-hander. Brake for the right at Toulon. Accelerate out of the corner, and interestingly, we've just had an absolute best in the first sector done by Frédéric Fangio, who is down in 15th place, recovering after a spin. Whether he's taken a big bite of curb to do that, you'll have to ask him, but it's an interesting effort to suddenly find the time out of nowhere. Steve Earle, by the way, is back into the race, but down in 18th place, so that means that now Louis-Philippe Cernan leads in the Arm Cup. With the drive-through last time for Strukov, the order has now put up into 6th place Mitchell, up into 7th Lee Mole, up into 8th Romenico, and Strukov running in, let's see, not 9th because that's Woodcock, not 10th because it's Cernan. Goes across the timing line now, and Pavel Strukov is down in 11th spot, 18.5 minutes still on the clock here. Leader Luigi Lucchini works lap number 13. And the absolute best first sector now offered up by Mario Cordoni, who is 6.5 seconds back from Jens Muller, so he's going after the opposition here. Race leader comes up towards the completion of the lap. And Steve Earle was a right front puncture But where he picked that up, we know not. But it was a punctured tyre for Steve Earle, hence the pit stop. We saw the car up on the jacks. So Steve Earle, a punctured tyre, and back into the race, but down in 18th overall. So 4th now in the Iron Cup, which is the category in which he was the double winner at Monza. Leader comes through, 17 minutes on the clock. So now Luigi Lucchini ticking off the laps. The gap is down 6.2 seconds last time. Cordoni running in 3rd. He's got himself up past Ken Abe at turn 1 as we had seen, and now Cordoni doing lap times better than the 2 ahead of him. Now Mario Cordoni 12 seconds off this car in the lead, 6 seconds off Jens Müller with clear track space ahead of him. Could Mario Cordoni get himself one further place up the order, bearing in mind that Cordoni is coming up from 10th on the grid anyway, made pretty decent progress in this race. 16 minutes to run as Jens Müller still chases on. He's still chipping away at Luigi Lucchini. You see the Honda in the background. Lucchini with the great noise that the Ferrari 488 makes comes then now up through the chicane Nord, back onto the power. Towards senior comes Lucchini in sector 1, 3 tenths lost. That was down at the bottom of the lap, just going out of turn 4. What about sector 2? He's gained a 10th, in fact, there over Jens Müller. So the Ferrari seems to like the Mistral straight. The Honda seems to like the twiddly bits at the start of the lap. Luigi Lucchini through Toulon. There, good battle going on lower down as Robert Svinger is getting himself closer to Ken Abe. Abe, having lost out to Cordoni, has lost a big chunk of time and has been reeled in here by Robert Svinger. So the Slovakian driver looks for a way by, can't do it at Toulon, he's not quite close enough, but he's applying the pressure right enough. The Lamborghini closes once more. And now again into the approach to Garage du Lac. Out of the Virage du Pont, up towards the timing line. So Robert Svinger in the HB Racing Lamborghini benefits from a big slide by Ken Abe. I wasn't wondering where we got to out of the shot. Well, there's the answer. Ken Abe loses the back of the car. Off the road he goes. And Ken Abe, just a little bit too much throttle, a bit too soon, I fear. The car suddenly snaps away from him. He's back on track. So that means that Lucchini leads Müller from Cordoni. Svinger is 4th, Abe down to 5th. It's only cost him 1 place. Cost him it has, no question. 84, Pete Mitchell gaining places all the time, partly by other people's dramas, but he's just keeping out of trouble and doing a good job here. Down he turns through the turn 3, 4, 5 sequence. So the race leaders currently on lap number 15, and it is a margin of 5.5 seconds between Lucchini and Müller right now. So the two of them still dominant. Cordoni 3rd, Svinger 4th, Abe in 5th spot, and then Pete Mitchell 6th ahead of Lee Mole. In 8th place, Dennis Romaniako's Mercedes, and then it's Hardy Woodcock and Louis-Philippe Cernan to round out the top 10. Cernan still clear within the Iron Cup. Now there is Lee Mole, his next target, Pete Mitchell, who he was ahead of earlier on in the race. He's got to make up half a second before he can attack, and that gap is perhaps going to come down a little bit further now, because Lee Mole in the sectors looking good, but is it going to be good enough to get him onto terms? Let's see. Pete Mitchell hustling on certainly at the start of the lap. There is Lee Mole now accelerating his way through. 13 minutes of the race to go. Luigi Lucchini goes by, and the margin over Jens Müller is coming down. 4.9 seconds now between those two. There's Lee Mole closing up onto the back of Pete Mitchell under braking. So for 6th place, the margin half a second at the start of the lap. Is Lee going to get near enough to have a go before race end? Let's see. Comes through half a second it was, and it's gone up. Lee, you've let me down. 9/10 of a second, in fact, coming over the timing line. I think the Mercedes might have the grunt coming out of the corners. There's Dennis Romenico, who's dropped back a little bit now in 8th place. So 12 minutes still to go. And 44, which is Lee Mole, comes down through turn 3. Still chasing on behind Pete Mitchell, trying to force a mistake out of him, if nothing else, but it ain't happening for the moment. So with just under 12 minutes still to run, Mario Cordoni now absolute best in the first sector. So Cordoni not giving up. He might not have the outright pace of the leaders, but he's certainly pushing still. As you look at Lee Mole again doing his level best to close up under braking. There's a floppy marker, I think, in the middle of the road there at the entry to Chicane Nord. As Lee Mole comes through, 7th he is. And Lee leading the Titanium Cup for the over 50s here. Pete Mitchell turns up through the right at Senior, goes way wide, stays the right side of those little markers put in, you see on the runoff area, go behind those, you start to get in trouble with the officials. So he got away with that, but an error made, and Lee Mole should be able to close up just a little bit more here. Through they turn yet again. 84, Pete Mitchell into the last 11 minutes of the race. Lee Mole goes a little bit deep though there through Bendor, and look at the time he's lost as a consequence. So a couple of lengths given away to Mitchell. There is Lee Mole trying to regroup and hustle on as he brakes now and turns the Mercedes up towards the completion of the lap into the Virage du Pont. The car seems to like that part of the circuit, other bits not quite so good. The car run by Keith Chambers, the Mercedes rumbles its way up towards the timing line as the lead gap is down to 3.8 seconds. Lucchini is being caught by Jens Müller. Good thing about this is there's always been that debate in the race as to whether the Honda could catch, even allowing for the spin. So unlike Monza where Jens Müller just ran away and hit, here he's having to work really hard and he could yet do it. 10 minutes to go and 3.8 seconds between the race leaders. Out of turn 3 comes Lee Mole. So the pair of them still running almost together. Now, Kryson Lendudis has gained ground and Pavel Strukov is into the pit lane. So, Pavel Strukov pits. We also understand that there was an incident between Kryson Lendudis and Steve Earle, so that would account for Steve's puncture, I suspect. But Pavel Strukov down the pit lane. So, out of sight, he's had a moment. There he is. But I'll be surprised if that's a legacy of the earlier contact, because it would have taken less time to manifest, surely. Anyway, he's in, and that could be the end of the day for him. Through they turn onto Mistral Straight, and good fight going on here between Kryson Lendudis and Frederic Fangio, recovering after his spin. Fangio keeps doing good first sectors. Now, can he get a good middle sector here? He's on the back of the Greek driver, Kryson Lendudis, that we saw a couple of years ago in Blancpain Endurance, and he loses a place as Fangio goes through, flips up one of the markers, but he's made that move, and so Frederic Fangio goes 11th through the Chicane Nord. 8 3/4 minutes of the race to go. Leaders have just gone by. But as far as Fangio is concerned, 11th. And can he make further progress before the end? Unlikely. The team managers and drivers from Coach McKenzie's car and Vadim Kogai to the stewards at the end of the race. That's going to be a potential change to the grid, because if you get a penalty by way of a grid drop, it's not going to be purely based on qualifying times for race 2 later on, but that's leaping ahead a little bit. So 44 Lee Mole goes through, still running in that 7th place, still trying to catch the opposition. The leading gap is down to 2.5 seconds though, so Jens Müller still closing. He's done another fastest lap of the race here. It's quite good in a sense by having Jens Müller with his dramas of spins and losing time, because it does make for a good race. And he's chipping away, as now also for 5th and 6th and 7th. Arbe being caught by Mitchell, being caught by Mole. They're all bunching up. So there, Pete Mitchell dives to the inside of Arbe. This is for 5th place up towards the chicane. He's done it even before the chicane. Arbe fights back, looks on the inside line, and Lee Mole not quite close enough to buy into that. So I think he might have been hoping they made contact and tripped over each other. It didn't happen for him. He has to then fall back in behind as they come through the chicane. Back onto Mistral straight now. So 7 more minutes of the race to go. At the rear of the field, Steve Earle playing catch-up against Ben Kleinbach. At the head of the field, Luigi Lucchini, and way out wide, almost taking the floppies with him that time, Pete Mitchell. Proof of just how hard he's trying here. Through Toulon, they turn. Mitchell ahead of Arbe, ahead of Lee Mole. So Pete Mitchell, who races under a Swiss licence, keeping Ken Arbe behind him. The race leader has just gone by, incidentally, with Jens Müller now 2.5 seconds behind him, so the lead gap is coming down and down and down. To the inside line, Ken Arbe. To the outside line, Lee Mole. Is he going to be able to rumble his way past the Mercedes? Gets good pickup coming out of the corner, gets good drive out of the Virage Dupont. Lee Mole will get his nose in front as they go over the timing line, but he's going to be on the outside line for turn 1. The inside line for turn 2, but he gets the work done. Good pass that by Lee Mole. Through he goes, up into the top 6. So Lee Mole, who started 18th on the grid, up to 6th. Really good effort this by the Brit. And he goes down towards the Virage du Hotel once more. Through the right, through the left. And now on to Virage du Camp at the bottom of the lap. Possibly a little touch of understeer there for the Mercedes, but unfortunately, I fear that might be as good as it gets now for Lee Mole. 6th place behind Pete Mitchell, and more dramas have befallen Ferraris. This one is Hardy Woodcock's car, the Stila F Service SRL car, and that is looking to rejoin out of turn 2. And will do so. Time and place is lost. That's the end of the spin. It all looked rather self-induced, that, didn't it? So Hardy Woodcock rotates, and we'll get back into the race some way down. Now there, the race leader, and you caught a glimpse behind of the rapidly closing Jens Müller. 2.5 seconds was the gap. 4.5, nearly 5 minutes still to go, which is going to be 3 more laps. Jens Müller still could do this. Out of the Virage Dupont they come. Ferrari leads Honda up towards the timing line once more. Through they turn. So there's the Ferrari going by. The margin 2.2 seconds. As I say, time for certainly 2 more laps, possibly 3. Jens Müller accelerates out of turn 2. Now, of course, he wants as many laps as possible here. That gives him a greater chance of getting back onto terms with the race leader. So Jens Müller started on pole position, but in the end this has turned out to be a very different race from that might have been anticipated. I think the expectation was that Müller was going to run away, and now Lucchini makes a mistake. 4 minutes to go, and Lucchini goes off the road. Now he's hung onto the race lead, but what's all that about? Having driven faultlessly and commanding the advantage, all of a sudden Luigi Lucchini possibly looks in his mirror at the wrong time, missed his braking point, goes out wide, and so Jens Müller thinks, aha, I've got a chance because you are prone to pressure. Up towards the chicane, Lucchini leading the way. 2.2 seconds was the advantage. It's going to be much, much less because 1 second is taken out in the first sector alone. Jens Müller almost there. This has turned out to be an intriguing race, and up towards the completion of lap 20 they will come out of senior, and then that really twiddly bit at the end of the lap where you're looping right and left all the time. Lucchini leads then out of senior, uses a little bit of curb on the outside of the road. Jens Müller behind him in 2nd place. That gap down in sector 1, down again in sector 2, so the Honda almost on the tail as they come through Toulon. So Jens Müller, with the clock ticking on down, gets himself onto the tail of the Ferrari. through Galabin they come, and on towards the Virage du Lac. And again, look, Lucchini up the curb. He's looking a bit more ragged now as Jens Müller has arrived on his tail. And Müller with nothing to lose now, just pushing. And you get the feeling that Lucchini might just end up overstepping the mark slightly and giving the Honda the opportunity here. Through they come. Now they break the beam with how much to go? 2:26 on the clock. And that means that there's going to be time for 2 more laps. This and 1 more. Down towards turn 1 they come with the margin now, 0.356 of a second. Luigi Lucchini is going to have to drive the 2 laps of his life now to keep Jens Müller at bay. Through they turn, brake hard, into the right and the left, out of turns 3 and 4. From the Virage d'Hôtel down to Virage du Cap. It's here that Lucchini made his mistake last time, but he's secure this time, no dramas. Up towards the right-hander now at Saint-Baume they turn. Onto the Mistral straight, penultimate lap. Traffic ahead. Hardy Woodcock, incidentally, after his spin, has come into the pit lane. And here are the race leaders. 1.5 minutes of the race remains, but of course the flag goes out the first time the leader crosses the line once. The 45 minutes are up, so it could be that you miss the cut by a few seconds and then things change on that last lap. Out of the chicane comes Müller, rides the curb though. The Dane in the Honda looked actually as though he might have just dropped back a little bit coming through the chicane and onto the second part of the Mistral straight here. So can Lucchini regroup and pull away? The gap in sector 1 up by 3/10. In sector 2, yes, Lucchini doing a personal best, so he is building the gap once more. Making Jens Müller do the chasing as Luigi Lucchini goes through Toulon. But here, under good braking, going through Courbe de Galabin, so Jens Müller brings the gap down ever so slightly. And now blasts on towards the Virage du Lac. Around the back of the paddock they will come and onto the last lap of the race. So can Luigi Lucchini hang on for 1 more tour of the Circuit du Castellet here at Paul Ricard? Let's see. Turn right onto the pit straight. They will come now. The leader is Luigi Lucchini. He will start lap 22. Jens Müller is how far behind him? The gap was 0.356. The gap is 0.9 of a second. So onto the last lap they go. Down now into turn 1. Has Luigi Lucchini done enough? The margin was up last time, but they're coming towards that bogey corner for Luigi Lucchini. It was down at the Virage du Camp that he made his little error a couple of laps back, but so far so good. Turns through nicely. Squirts out the other side, and Müller looking as though he has lost just too much ground, really, to be a proper threat here. He's come close, got to within 3/10, but it's not happening for him now as the cars blast now onto the Mistral straight once again. Up to the chicane for the last time. Behind them in 3rd place, Mario Cordoni. 4th is Robert Zwinger, and 5th, Pete Mitchell, with 6th, Lee Mole. But half a lap remains for this man, Luigi Lucchini, looking for a first victory of the season, with Jens Müller, the dominant driver at Monza, thwarted, it seems, here at Paul Ricard, barring any dramas that might go to Luigi Lucchini on this last lap. There's a back marker up the road ahead. I think that's Steve Earle, isn't it? Rejoined after his pit stop. With Woodcock, Strukov, Sultanov, Kogai and McKenzie, all retirements. 4 of those 5 being Ferrari drivers. Luigi Lucchini up the curb very early, coming into Toulon. Turns through the right-hander. Back on the power again now as he comes out the other side. And where is Jens Müller? Not close enough is the answer. So Jens Müller is dropping back, and that means that it's looking good now for a win for Luigi Lucchini. Luigi Lucchini makes the run up through the Virage du Lac and then towards the Virage du Pont, the last corner, this very tight right-hander that will bring him onto the pit straight. And so the 3rd race of the year in the Blancpain GT Sports Club is going to be won by Ferrari, by Luigi Lucchini, who comes across the timing line to take the checkered flag. He wins here at Paul Ricard. 2nd goes the way of Jens Müller in the Honda NSX. And then for 3rd, it should be Mario Cordoni. He will come towards the line, making it a 1-3 for the Ferraris, but BMF Scuderia Italia beating AF Corsa. Lee Mole here is going to win the Titanium Cup as Robert Zwinger takes 4th overall. 5th will be Pete Mitchell And then for 6th place, Lee Mole comes through. And what about the Iron Cup? That is going to be Louis-Philippe Cernan, and he will make the run up towards the timing line in 9th place. So there is Cernan, checkered flag being waved, and Louis-Philippe Cernan will take Iron Cup honours after a puncture for Steve Earle, of course, cost him time. So a 2nd Titanium Cup winner of the year for Lee Mole, but Luigi Lucchini, the race winner from Jens Müller. And then for 3rd place, Mario Cordoni. Well, a good drive by Luigi Lucchini. Frustration for the 2nd place Jens Müller. Seemed to have the pace, but it just didn't really gel, did it? And that spin certainly didn't help, but he was in the end 2 seconds back. He had a late push, but then again you kind of get the feeling that he thought, well, I'm not going to do it, and he settled for the place. So a race win for Luigi Lucchini. Excellent job done. And as the drivers now make their way back to Parc Fermé, Luigi Lucchini, the race winner, by 2 seconds. Good drive by Mario Cordoni, also working his way up from 10th on the grid. Let's confirm the results, though. It was a win for Luigi Lucchini's Ferrari, 2nd Jens Müller in the Honda NSX, and then for 3rd place, Mario Cordoni's Ferrari, run by the AF Corsa team. 4th for HB Racing, Robert Zwinger, ahead of Pete Mitchell's Ferrari, another of the 488s, this one from the Steel F service squad. Behind him, 6th, Lee Mole. Dennis Romeniko, 7th in his Mercedes, the 2 Mercs, 6th and 7th. 8th, Ken Abe after a spin. 9th, Louis-Philippe Cernan to win in the Iron Cup. And the top 10 rounded out by Frédéric Fangio, who had a spin but was ahead of Crichton Landudis, Dylan from Malaga, Jared van der Horst, 13th from Rick Lovett, and then climbed back 15th, Steve Earle, 16th, despite having to pit to sort out a punctured tyre. And therefore, the retirements, Hardy Woodcock not getting to the end, nor did Pavel Strukov nor Murad Sultanov after their incident. And behind them, Vadim Kogai and Coach McKenzie, also retirement contact for them earlier on in the race. So a good win for Luigi Lucchini, and it's going to be interesting to see what pans out in race 2 later on. Jens Müller arrives in Parc Fermé. So the Honda showing good pace this year, and had it not been for that spin, he would certainly, I think, have been on the tail of the leader, maybe even ahead of him at the end, because the margin of 2 seconds, he certainly lost more than that with that spin. But Luigi Lucchini will be a very happy man indeed, I'm sure, after that win. And shortly, should clamber out of the car. Says thank you to the team. Celebrations begin, but there is the podium to do first of all. And for the BMS Scuderia Italia squad, the same BMS Scuderia Italia that, of course, has been a sports car, both prototype and GT squad for a long, long time. Had a spell in Formula 1, of course, briefly. It's another race win, and Luigi Lucchini celebrates honours here at Paul Ricard. So Luigi Lucchini it is that takes race honours, and let's hear what he has to say about a race win here in the sunshine in France. Dakota Jane is with him.
Luigi, vieni qua. Congratulations, what a fantastic race. That looked like a bit of fun, didn't it?
Yes, it was a really fantastic race. I had a good start, so I get the first position at the first lap. Then I tried to get some advantage on the others, but the Honda was really fast, so I pushed all the race, and then in the end the hit arrived very, very close to me, but okay, I did it, so I'm very happy for that.
I bet you don't even look like you're really sweating.
Yeah, I'm tired. I can confirm you.
Well, you've got another race to go today, so good luck for that. Thank you very much.
So Luigi Lucchini is indeed a happy man, and he will make his way up towards the podium very shortly, with second place going to Jens Müller. Quick look at the highlights of that race, with the Honda of Jens Müller starting on pole position, and as the race got underway from the rolling start, everybody weaving around, generating warmth in the tyres on that formation lap. A good start by Müller, but brave stuff by Lucchini round the outside, going through turn 1. That put him ahead as the cars then made the run down towards turn 2. Müller lost second place by the end of the lap, also to Pavel Strukov. He fought back, got the place back at the chicane as contact broke out between Vadim Kogai and coach McKenzie, and then there was a secondary impact as McKenzie's car rolled backwards, and that put them both out of the race. Lucchini, in the meantime, was building up the race lead. Müller had a spin, and having caught the Ferrari, had to do it all over again. He also had to make up some of the places he'd lost with that error. A spin for Frédéric Fangio, more contact as Pavel Strukov attacked Murat Sultanov's Ferrari, turned it around. Ken Abe had his own spin, all self-induced, coming out of the last corner. Luigi Lucchini, though, continued unaffected up front, as through on the inside, Frédéric Fangio, who had an earlier spin, he was also fighting his way back into contention. Pete Mitchell had a good race, got himself past Ken Abe, and then Lucchini made a tiny error down at the bottom of the lap, going through the Virage du Camp. That gave Jens Müller a chance, but he wasn't able to take full advantage of it, and it meant that Luigi Lucchini ran out as the winner here at Paul Ricard. So the drivers very shortly will make their way up to the podium, and the GT4 European Series cars making their way in the background out onto the circuit. The second Blancpain GT Sports Club race comes this afternoon, so a chance for Luigi Lucchini to see if he can do it all over again. But for now, from Paul Ricard, from David Anderson, it's goodbye.